All right, so Brent Venables and Ben Arbuckle, they're out here making moves. Like, I don't know if y'all saw, but there's a new hire of an assistant coach that's going to be on staff. Has been in the ringer with Ben Arbuckle at Washington State. But Oklahoma fans are, like myself, are linking this now and asking questions. Is this one of the final pushes to try to get John Mateer in the portal and to come to Oklahoma? Because this is a pretty key piece, regardless whether you get John Mateer to Oklahoma or not. This is a guy that's done a pretty good job with Ben Arbuckle in quarterback. So we're going to dive into it today. We're going to talk about the hiring of John Kuceyeski as the offensive coordinator, or not the offensive coordinator, the offensive assistant and quarterbacks coach for Oklahoma. And then we're going to talk about, will John Mateer end up at Oklahoma? Because that's what a lot of fans are wanting to know, right? So jump in the comments below, join the discussion. If you're new to the channel, make sure you hit that like, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Give me your thoughts on this latest hire for Oklahoma, because I think this is actually pretty big. So this is first, I think, reported by Matt, I believe it's Zients over at 247 Sports. But Oklahoma is set to hire Washington State quarterbacks coach John Kuceyeski as an offensive assistant/assistant QB coach. Sources tell CBS Sports /247. Now, it's important to understand who John Kuceyeski worked with, and then also to understand that he's been a pretty crucial piece into kind of helping Ben Arbuckle shape Washington State's offense into one of the best in the entire country at Washington State. So he goes in to kind of talk about it a little more. He helped Washington State rank 11th nationally in scoring this season, and he worked with quarterbacks like John Mateer and Cam Ward. Now, obviously, Cam Ward's out at Miami. I think a lot of people are expecting him to go to the NFL draft, but now I think this kind of leads a lot of people to start asking the question now, what about John Mateer? What does the hiring of John Kuceyeski mean to get John Mateer to Oklahoma? Because this is what Oklahoma fans like myself really care about. If you look at the quarterback room right now, yes, you've got a really young guy in Michael Hawkins that I think a lot of people, as long as he gets the development that he needs, I think are really excited for, right? But at the same time, you want to be able to sit him for that year and get him that development, because he didn't get that this year. And a guy like John Mateer could come into Oklahoma and he could instantly make an impact. John Mateer could come to Oklahoma and kind of bring that swagger back to the quarterback position that we just haven't had. So currently this year, he's a sophomore. Next year, he'll be a junior. 6'1", 219 pounds, right in our own backyard, Little Elm, Texas, right? Just right up the road from Denton. So it's like a 2.5-hour drive probably to Little Elm, Texas. So when you look at it, he'd be getting closer to home. It'd be easier for family to come watch his games. And then Oklahoma's obviously got to travel to the Red River game. And I'm pretty sure John Mateer, being from the state of Texas, is very familiar with the meaning of that game. So you look at this and you say, okay, so Oklahoma took John's offensive coordinator. They take his quarterback's coach. There's a chance Oklahoma could target guys that were on that squad this year that were playmakers for the Washington State offense as a part of this squad going in the next year. There's a lot of pieces here pointing to John Mateer being the quarterback. And I think the reason why a lot of people want John Mateer as your quarterback next year, just like me, you see the production here, right? 3,139 yards, 29 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. But if you scroll down, right, and you look into his stats and you deep dive into his stats a little bit more. Well, in 2024, guys, he was sacked 31 times. 31 times. And when you understand that although Oklahoma is going to improve their offensive line for next year, when you understand how many times Jackson Arnold was sacked, I think that's a pretty important number to look at for John Mateer, because Jackson Arnold this season was sacked 34 times. So understanding that John Mateer was sacked 31 times and threw for 3,100 yards, and Jackson Arnold was sacked 34 times and only threw for 1,400 yards, Oklahoma fans, just like myself, see John Mateer as a playmaker and a guy that, although he's got pressure coming at him, can still try to get the ball out, make plays, and he only threw 7 interceptions. Like, Oklahoma fans are going to look at that and go, Hey, I like that. Now remember, Arnold only threw 3 this year, but Arnold fumbled the ball a lot more. So I think Oklahoma fans will probably look at it and go, well, can he hold on to the ball? John Mateer can hold on to the ball. But then you look at it and you see what John Mateer's been able to do on his feet, 826 yards for 15 touchdowns. And so you see John Mateer this season accounting for almost damn near 4,000 yards, and you see him for accounting for over 36 touchdowns. This is a guy that you put him in Oklahoma's offense and you put him in the SEC. If he doesn't get 36 touchdowns, let's say he just gets 25, Oklahoma's probably a 10-win team last year. And you look at what Oklahoma's returning on defense next year, and you understand it potentially be better, because this is what Oklahoma fans for years have been clamoring for. You've been clamoring for the defense to kind of help lead this team and be, kind of a strong point here, and just have a complementary offense. Or if you have a really good offense, just have a complementary defense, right? For so many years, we've asked for that. And now I think it's just a little bit reversed. And so I look at it and I go, if you could just get 25 touchdowns from your quarterback total and, throw for 2,500 yards, maybe rush for another 500, Oklahoma wins 10 games this season, probably wins 10 games next year as well. Like, that's how you have to look at it. John Mateer is a playmaker, and he's a guy that can come into Oklahoma, and I really think turn this ship around. Now, obviously, I think a lot of the questions are going to be, well, what kind of weapons can Oklahoma put around John Mateer, right? Because you've lost a bunch of wide receivers. I'm going to say playmakers, because you lost Jalil Farouk. You obviously lost Brendan Thompson. Those are guys that have produced for you. Nick Anderson produced for you for one season, but some of these guys haven't been able to stay healthy. So you look at it and say, yeah, you lost a lot of wide receivers. So you just got to kind of rebuild that room back up. You got to get some tight ends in there. And if you do that, you might be able to entice John Mateer to come to Oklahoma. But you look at the hiring of John Kuceyeski, and I think this is what we have to come back to, because this is where we started the video today, right? Hiring him as a quarterback's coach for Oklahoma, it's important to understand that this is, I think, the Oklahoma staff. And again, I'm playing my thinking game here, right? Putting my thinking cap on. I think this is the staff playing chess with John Mateer, saying, I'm going to give you every reason to not want to come here, right? I'm going to give you every reason to want to come here, and you've got to give me the reason to not want to come. And then you look at it and you say, okay, well, if we can't get John Mateer, we need guys that can come in here and develop the quarterbacks. And you got a guy and a quarterback's coach that's been able to do that. You've got an offensive coordinator that's been proven to be able to develop quarterbacks and produce a top offense in the country, a top 15 offense in the country, right? So you look at going in the next season, Kevin Johns did really good this year, but he's likely not the quarterback's coach now. This is going to be John Kuceyeski's job, and he's having a proven ability to go out there and do it with some of the most elite quarterbacks in college football right now. So great hire by Oklahoma. Does it lead John Mateer to come to Oklahoma? I would think so. But, only time's going to tell us at this point on whether Mateer wants to enter the portal. I would think, this is kind of a Caleb Williams situation where, Mateer could come out tomorrow and announce he's going to enter the portal, but it's going to be after the bowl game. At that point, Oklahoma fans are going to feel a lot better. But until he enters the portal, Oklahoma's got to figure out what else they're going to do with the quarterback position. Maybe start to build a backup plan. But another thing before I let you guys go, when you look at what's going on in the transfer portal right now, Oklahoma is not really pursuing a bunch of quarterbacks right now, which tells you they have a plan in place. Regardless whether we know what that plan is, they have something in place. So it's only day 5 in the transfer portal. Things can change. Guys, jump in the comments below. Join the discussion. Let me know what your guys' thoughts are. If you haven't already, make sure you hit that like and you hit that subscribe button.